Greetings and God bless. I wanted to do a little video about, so there's a lot of talk about an EMP strike. And so imagine like not having your phone, not having the internet, no computers are working, only mechanical devices, for a time, unless people have put certain devices in a Faraday cage. So, should that ever happen, or, if you're traveling and something happens to your device, or you're somewhere where there's no internet or whatever, that can be a very challenging emotional, mental experience because we have been trained to be overstimulated with notifications of social media and our banking apps contacting us or whatever. I mean, where our attention is always being demanded. And so I'm listening to this audiobook called Fun, like how to enjoy being alive again or something like that. And it's by the author who wrote How to Break Up with Your Phone. And she makes a really good point. I'm in chapter 5 right now, and she was just talking about when people just fast from their devices, but that is, should there be or when there's an EMP uh, strike, or when the grid goes down, or I don't know, when 5G zaps devices, who knows? When something unplanned happens and we don't have what we've become accustomed to, what will you fill that time with? So I just wanted to do a video about, you know, having a prepper mindset, a survivalist mindset for when there is no internet, when there's no devices, and where we don't have our, 21st century technology. And so in chapter 5 of this book about fun, she was saying, like, know what gives you satisfaction, what gives you enjoyment. There's more to it. I don't, of course, have her whole system down, and I recommend the book. It's worth a read, and it's worth a reread. And the name of the book is in the description box, and her last name is Catherine Price, and the book is The Power of Fun. Okay, that's the book title. The Power of Fun: How to Feel Alive Again by Catherine Price. So part of, I think, the prepper survivalist mindset is being prepared for having all this free time, having and I think it's called existential void. So imagine, let's say you have everything set up and things are taken care of, because something I have read is in a survival situation. Let's say a ship sinks and the person is on a desert island. Some people actually have more life satisfaction and happiness because their life is very simple. It's simple, like when they're a castaway, because all they got to do, and it's a lot, is make sure they have shelter, and make sure they have a heat source, and make sure they have food. And so while that's a tremendous labor to get all that stuff done when you're not a survivalist, like, people get us a lot of satisfaction, whereas in our modern life, most people are struggling and experiencing more depression and anxiety than they're experiencing happiness and love and all these other good feelings, because our life is much more complicated, because we're having to navigate mean girl bullying narcissists, or in government down to who our neighbor is or in our family. And then we have uh, all these things that we have to manage in our household, and we have our plans for the future, and so we have a lot of challenging tasks, and not to mention, like, we want to filter our water, and we want to maybe grow a garden, and then we've got crazy weather that's destroying our garden. So anyways, imagine, I just wanted to pose this question. When you have everything squared away, so initially, let's say there's a survival situation, you're going to be so busy with that, and you're going to experience satisfaction and happiness. However, for those who have planned, or to those who are blessed in their circumstances, and everything just is okay, and their situation is stable, um, you may have weeks, hours, days, weeks, months, where you're going to have a void. You're going to have a vacuum. Maybe the term is existential vacuum. But so what are you going to fill that existential vacuum, that void, with? And so you've been maybe distracted by your phone notifications or emails, or other online stuff that's keeping you busy, um, or whatever that's just filling your days. And let's say there's not going to be those same things. What will you fill that void with? And this requires some self inquiry. So, I recommend the book because The Power of Fun by Catherine Price has a lot of really good self assessment questions, and she has some really good explanations that make sense to me. And I'm learning more about myself. So I just wanted to put that out there as part of your prepper toolkit. Is how are you going to navigate that existential vacuum, that void? Maybe when, maybe you're going to be solo, or maybe you're going to be with people that you don't know that well. And maybe you or others around you are emotionally stunted, or spiritually stunted, or whatever. And so there's people maybe that won't have an understanding or an appreciation of existence, and and maybe that wouldn't be a problem for some people, but for those who it might be a problem, I just wanted to bring this up because I think this is profound, and it would be a very effective tactic by Satan to, pull the plug on everything, and people would be pretty distressed, especially now, I would say in the 2000s, we're now 2022. I think people don't even know how to maybe get their needs met with other people, um, just because everybody's just getting their needs met from their phone or from the internet. And I think, because I noticed, like, so I grew up in New York City, and I've always lived in major cities, more pedestrian oriented locations. And so there, you would see people, walking around, and I still do, like when I'm seeing a live video of somebody walking in New York or other major cities, people are out and about. And but I think, like, I have noticed there's fewer people outside in downtown kind of areas, and I am thinking, number one, it seems like people are not living like people are living somewhere else, or people are traveling somewhere else. Like when I was growing up in New York in the 70s and 80s, like people did not, some people had their second home or their third home, but it wasn't quite as many as it is now. Like, it seems like now everybody has to have a second home or a third home, or they're renting, rotating out, a second home or a third home. So everybody seems to be living somewhere else, rather than really just like their day-to-day life, their enjoyment, everything is in New York City or it's in San Francisco. And I think that really makes a city infrastructure weak when you have all these millionaires who have a condo, let's say like it is in Missoula, Montana, and so they just have a condo. They're there for a few days out of the year, so they're taking prime real estate, and yeah, they're paying property taxes, but they're in this prime location, the most walkable location. It means nothing to them that they have this mortgage and whatever property taxes and utilities. Like, I don't know if they're all like doing some sort of weird racket because to pay for a home that they're never in, that they're there maybe 5 days out of a year or something like that. Anyways, that is, I won't go down there further, but uh, like, it seems like people are not used to interacting with other people, being out and about. People have been socialized, I would say, the past 20 some years. People are being habituated to being introverted, internalized, and getting their needs met on the internet or through their devices, or not even getting their needs met. And so when this infrastructure of the internet and being kind of on video games all the time or something like that, when that is taken away, people are not necessarily going to adapt. Some folks are not going to adapt well. They're not going to know how to adapt well. Because they've done things online all the time, behind some sort of disguise that is this mirror, this black mirror that we're on. So, so I think like we need to be prepared and maybe be savvy of how to facilitate people who lack social skills. I remember I was participating in this group, and there's a couple that had a child that seemed to be on the autism spectrum, and I noticed there was a mischievous little boy who was chasing this other little boy and kind of harassing him, bullying him, targeting the autistic boy, and the parents were not sympathetic. They were devoid of compassion. They were devoid of understanding that their son, who was disabled. I mean, it was the son was what, maybe 4 years old, maybe 5. And they were expecting their autistic son, their autistic 5-year-old, to know how to set boundaries when his parents lacked awareness, emotional intelligence to realize that their baby didn't know how to deal with this. And the parents just abandoned the kid to the situation and kind of and yelled at the child, or not yelled, but chastised the child, like, speak up, you autistic 5-year-old that doesn't have complete, like, is not a mature, full grown adult. You should speak up and set your boundaries. So, anyways, like, folks don't seem to have basic human emotional skills. And I don't know, and I think there's nutrition that can be a factor. It's culture for sure, and it's psychological context of family dynamics and education and the community that they were in. So, add all the toxins in our environment that are debilitating the best of us. Add those toxins, add the socially stunted infrastructure that's created by the smartphones and social media and being online all the time. I mean, we're really we're really handicapped as a species and as a culture. And if you watch videos about people who have traveled to third world countries, they're always talking about how folks, the poorest of the poor, people who make $1 a year or something like that, they're so happy. They have such strong community connections. Like they have a thousand times better quality of life than the average American. Why could that be? Why is that? Right? I mean, could it be that we're just a consumer culture and we've disconnected from family and community and culture, and we're too busy trying to be politically correct, perhaps, or we're too busy trying to have an Instagram worthy life rather than having a real life? And what I notice is if we look at or more like at literature or nostalgia. There's nostalgia for the lady who's making some crumpets, or there's nostalgia for the gentleman just walking in his top hat, walking in the charming square in Italy or something like that. And these are not people who were go-getters and had a million likes and followers and had the best of everything or whatever. These were people who were just simple, ordinary folks that were themselves. And maybe they weren't all simple. Maybe they weren't ordinary, but it and yes, there were social conventions of like what was appropriate apparel, let's say, and time of day to be doing things or whatever. But anyways, when we get back to nostalgia of just different things that we've liked, looking at historic houses or clothing, like things were so simple. I mean, like this little teapot. It's so charming, it's so beautiful. And somebody who maybe designed this teapot, maybe that was the only thing they've ever designed in their whole entire life. And they not everybody knows them. Not everybody remembers them. But they did one thing exceptionally well. And I mean, like that, I think is more of a valuable human um, impact than having being a popular YouTuber with a million views, or whatever it is that is or being rich, for instance. I mean, of course, I mean, having abundance, that is a very nice thing. However, I think our values are um, very distorted and unsatisfying. I don't think I don't observe that the people who are successful. I don't really think. I don't get a sense that they're content and happy. But maybe what I understand to be content and happy is different. So, anyways, mindset. When there is no internet, when are no devices that can give us give us a break and playing a video game or watching a comedy video or something like that. What are you going to do to fill your time? And I think how are you going to face that existential void? And how are you going to face others who are going through that as well? Like other people are going to be more messed up than you, probably because they haven't even considered uh, uh, like lights out, like a systems down situation, and much less they haven't thought about preparing for this existential vacuum. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you have other suggestions or observations about this issue, please write any of it in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and God bless.